Hey, what's up guys? Into the Burning Abyss here, back with another video. So guys, as you can tell by the title of this video, I am doing, basically updating my Burning Abyss deck profile, but it's not really exactly an update in terms of, oh, the last build was bad, but this one's good. I am going to be doing probably two more deck profiles, well, I guess this one and one more deck profile for Burning Abyss, just different variants of the deck. I wanted to show people, some people like the hand trap version, like hand trap 1 second version. Some people like the trap version. Some people maybe might like a mid-range version that has a bit of both. So I thought I'd profile each type of Burning Abyss deck for you, just because I think each one is good at certain things. Like, I don't think each one is good at, like, not one of the. That's one of the things that makes Burning Abyss not be a meta deck. I don't think any of these specific builds are good at doing everything, The hand trap version, I don't think it's that good going first, just because, like your typical M board, like let's say IP Beatrice or just Beatrice, and let's say you have like 2 hand traps in hand or something after that, with maybe like a Tourette for follow-up, like a Beatrice alone, or even IP Beatrice, that doesn't do much against today's boards, unless your opponent opens up nothing, like no, or if they only open up one play or nothing, then yeah, okay, that's fine. But most of the meta decks are very consistent and they can push through interruptions like Sprite and Tier Limit. So I don't feel like the hand trap version is that good at going first because of those reasons. It just doesn't set up a board that's unbreakable or even remotely unbreakable. It's too easy to, like, one Dark Ruler, even one like even Droplet or something like that, or even an interruption on, let's say, like, you try to go for the play, summon Dante, mill detach graph, and then you activate graph effect. Let's say they ash it, but you're sitting on Dante, maybe like 2 hand traps. It's not gonna do anything. So I do think that the hand trap version is definitely made to go second, with Zeus on board, and then the trap version, well, it's really strong going first. It's just a lot weaker going second. If, like I said in the trap version, the trap video a few days or a week ago, that a deck like Despia can, if you set like 5 back row, they can just go into Chimera and then they pop like 2 or 3 of your back row, and you're already down with like 1 or 2 interruptions only on your opponent's turn. They have full gas, so it's just not that great going second. Going first, it is pretty good, but you can't rely on the dice roll all the time. So yeah, like I'm trying to explain that. Basically, none of these versions of Burning Abyss, I think, in my opinion, are good going first and second, honestly. So I do think that it's better for me just to profile different versions of the deck and show you guys, just so you guys can choose which one you guys prefer. But I didn't find, or not find, that was something I was already thinking about when the ban list came out, but I had to wait to like get the cards and all that stuff. So the DPE package, Fusion Destiny, came back to 3, so I was like, you know what, let's try to, I think adding DPE to the deck would be pretty good, because it helps add on more interruptions to your board, basically. And it helps, like, I mean, obviously it kind of sucks you have to rely on opening Fusion Destiny, but now that it's at 3, you have better chances, and there's cards to help you get there, like Pot of Prosperity. So I do think that it's more reliable now to be able to go into the DPE package or access it in the deck. So I thought it'd be pretty cool to incorporate it into Burning Abyss, and I think the DPE package synergizes pretty well, because DPE, like, you can always, if it's conflicting with your BAs, like if you have some BAs in hand, you can just pop your DPE in like one of your opponent's cards, and then you can play with your Burning Abyss engine. So I don't think there's much conflict in there. And I also think that because the DPE also is very, I guess, grindy also. It's a deck that Burning Abyss is also really good with. So it just adds more grind to the deck, being able to keep bringing the DPE back, and then your Burning Abyss monsters replacing themselves and providing interruptions. So I think that DPE, the DPE package synergizes pretty well here. And I'm going to give you guys both a going second slash hand trap build and a trap build with DPE. I'm not sure which one is better at the moment. I need to do some more testing, but for this video I'm going to do the going second version with the DPE package in it. So yeah guys, without further ado, let's just get right into the video. Alright guys, so let's get right into it. Of course, for the Burning Abyss monsters, we got triple Graph, triple Seer, and basically, well, I guess I move these over a little bit, and triple Skarm. So these are the only 3 of that we're playing in this version of the deck. I did cut a few of the other BAs down a little bit, just because we are playing another card that it might surprise some people, and honestly, it surprised me a little bit too. But you'll see when we get there. So these are the 3 ofs. These are the most important ones. You want to see Graph in your opening hand all the time. Seer just helps a lot with like your grind game and use the Dante Seer loop. And Skarm, of course, is really good for the follow-up. But also, you just want, because this is not the trap version, you do want more names in order to, be able to play, since you need to open up 2 names to actually be able to do something. So 3 of the most important ones. Now for the 2 ofs, we got 2 Farfa, 2 Libic, and 2 Alec. So these are the 2 ofs. Because, like I said, we are not playing any traps, we do want to have a few more names. But I did cut the Farfa down to 2 because since we're not playing Pot of Desires in this build, since it conflicts with the DPE package, you don't want to banish your pieces. I do think that you don't need 3 Farfa, honestly. You just want to have it as interruption with Beatrice. So if you draw one, or if you have one in deck, it's fine. And we have another card that we're playing that's going to facilitate some plays, I guess. So, and of course, Libic just helps with OTKs. That's why we played 2. In case you open up 1, you still have another one. With Tour Guide, it goes really well. And then Alec providing interruption. It's a little tricky to use, but it has a lot of applications, honestly. So that's it for the 2 ofs. And then the 2 1-ofs, the 1 Barbar and the 1 Calcab. These can be used, for different names, just to be able to play, or they also have utility, bouncing a back row and then burning in time. So just little utility here and there, and you just want to have a good variety of names too. Now, this might conflict with a lot of things I've always said before, but for the support cards, I am playing 3 Rhino and 1 Tour Guide. I know I've always said that in this version, like without the traps, I do think the Rhino Warrior is weaker, and I still stand by that. I do think it's weaker, just because getting impermed or Veilered on the Rhino and not having any, like, you can't just set back row and pass now. You have to just sit on Rhino. You can't do anything else. But Rhino has some utilities that help a lot with going second, honestly. Even though it would fall prey to like something like Dragos the Paleo, or like I said, the Impermanent Veiler. I do think that the Rhino Warrior, not only is it any other BA name that you want it to be, basically, also it has a lot of utility, like I said, with going second. And I'll show you guys that. I'm probably going to do a combo video for some of the, or either like a test hand / combo video that you can do in Burning Abyss. It's actually pretty interesting, and I think it'd be pretty cool to show you guys. So that is why I'm playing the Rhino, because it has some utilities going second with one of the cards in the extra deck. And also, a lot of people don't really, like, no one really plays Burning Abyss right now, so I do think that the Rhino, or some people might not know where to actually interrupt your Burning Abyss cards. And the one Tour Guide, of course, Tour Guide is good for the follow-up, but I do feel like since we're playing 3 Rhino, you don't really need 2 Tour Guide. And then, of course, we are playing the DPE engine, the Dasher, the Celestial, and the 3 Fusion Destiny. This is the whole reason I made this deck. And I do think that this also helps if you open up like Rhino, another BA, and then a Fusion Destiny. then it doesn't hurt as much if you get impermed or veilered on the Rhino, since you still have plays to be able to go into DPE and force out or break your opponent's board like that. So yeah, I think that'd be pretty cool. And there's a few other cards. There's another card in the deck that I also think helps cover that weakness of Burning Abyss when it comes to the Rhino Warrior. But yeah, of course, Dasher and Celestial, really good. Dasher special summons any card when you draw it, when it's in the graveyard. And Celestial can help you draw too, which this deck needs any kind of draw power that I can get, since it doesn't have any. So that's basically it for the Burning Abyss and the support with the DPE. Now going into the going second cards, we got 3 DD Crow, 3 Imperm, and 3 Droplet for the, I guess these are like the hand trap slash, we do have other board breakers, but these are the ones that deal with like negating effects basically. Like DD Crow will basically negate the Tearlaments cards, quote unquote, and I just feel like DD Crow is like the best hand trap, so I do think that it's definitely worth playing, especially in this going second build. Imperm, of course, really good card. It plays around Talents, and it helps a lot against Tearlaments, so you can just negate the Kalos, or even against Sprite, negate the Gigantic or the Elf. And then the Droplet just synergizes so well with Burning Abyss, since you can discard your BAs and get their effects and negate entire boards. So these are the 9 kind of like negating cards. But that is not all for the going second cards. Now going into the actual board breakers, we're playing 2 Raigeki, 2 Lightning Storm, and 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. So I do think these cards alone are not like that great, honestly. Well, at least not into certain decks. And I do think into Sprite and into even like other decks that maybe like they don't set up either no interruptions or they set up like 1 negate. I do think these cards are pretty good since they trade with those things, or they can break entire boards if your opponent doesn't set up a negate. But the Tearlament kind of sucks a little bit unless they don't end on like Redoer. If they only end on like Dragos Tapelia and maybe like a Mud Dragon or something, or a Dragos Tapelia and like a Abyss Dweller, I mean this is pretty good since it gets rid of their monsters and they don't get any effects really. But these are a little situational, but I do think paired with Droplets, I do think these cards are all really good, since basically you can activate Raigeki and they try to negate chain Droplets, send the Raigeki and maybe send like another monster to negate something else, or get some kind of other interruption on board, like trigger like Graph or something after you've sent the drop or sent it for cost. So I do think these cards paired with Droplet or other hand traps to give your opponent suboptimal boards are really good. And of course, the Harpies and the Lightning Storm help with back row as well. So, and we are going second deck, so like I said, we do want to go second and break our opponent's board. Now the consistency card, 3 Pot of Prosperity. Since we are playing the DPE package, we cannot play Desires in here. And Pot of Prosperity also just helps you dig deeper to find the Fusion Destiny. If you have Fusion Destiny but only like 1 name, then you can dig for another name. It is a little bit hard to choose what to banish off Prosperity sometimes, but it's not like super crippling to the deck, like making it unplayable if you banish 6. But it does hurt, honestly. But I think it's a fine trade-off in order to fit the DPE package in. And last but not least, we are playing the 1 Foolish and the 1 Called By. Of course, Foolish is just, I think it's, in this version, I think it's better when you're playing more monsters, since it helps you actually, it's almost like another name with this card. And then Called By, of course, stops hand traps, and it's a pretty good going second card too. So that's it for the main, guys. It's actually 45 cards. We are playing 45 because we want to have less chances of opening up basically the Celestial and the Dasher. That's basically the only reason we're playing 45. And also, I wanted to be able to fit a good amount of, like, if you're playing 40, yeah, it makes it easier for you to see your good cards, but it also makes it easier for you to see your bricks, and you don't want to open up Dasher or Celestial. So, and I think 45, with the test hands and a little testing I've done, I did think 45 has worked out pretty well, actually. Now, going into the extra deck, of course, the 1 Beatrice and the 2 Dante. These are very standard in BA builds. I don't think you need a 3rd Dante, even though I wish I could play one, but there's no space in the deck. Beatrice, obviously, it's at 1. Now this is the card that I was saying can synergize really well with the Rhino Warrior, and it's really good going second. Honestly, the Break Sword, I did incorporate this card in a little more recently, and honestly, this card is actually like pretty good. If you open up with specific, well, it does take kind of specific hands, but it can help you like break through one, or basically push through 1 or 2 interruptions pretty easily. But yeah, the Break Sword thing is pretty good. Then the 1 Darius, we need a card that can basically beat over anything that, Dante and Break Sword can't beat over certain cards, since they're not that high in attack. I mean, this card has the effect that, if it attacks, it can detach a card and then after damage calc and then destroy the monster that it battled. So that's pretty good. And then the 1 Downard and 2 Zeus, of course. This is kind of like what you're trying to go for when you go in second. You break the board, or you create a suboptimal board with your hand traps, or you go in second card, you break it, and then Zeus just finishes off the board and helps you set up interruption for your opponent's turn. Sometimes I do wish I could put a 2nd Downard, but there's just no space. 1 access code for the Link 4. I had to cut the Avermax in order to fit in the DPE stuff, which really sucks. But I think the DPE stuff will help more. I guess basically it synergizes with the deck a little bit better. The Nightmare Unicorn, of course, with the IP, basically helping you, your typical going first board if you happen to go first. IP, and Beatrice can help, and then you go into Unicorn. So, of course, pretty standard, honestly. 1 Dark and 1 Cherubini for the last of the Link 2s. Dark just helps you link climb and take your opponent's monsters, and it goes really well with the deck since most of the BAs are dark. And then Cherubini, of course, helps you link climb and set up OTKs to be able to go into Access Code Togger. And it's just a good card, of course, with overall. Sending for cost is just so broken. And then 2 fusions, the Phoenix Enforcer and the Pilgrim. Honestly, you could cut I just don't want to cut the Pilgrim, guys. It's just so nice to be able to play him. When you get to summon him, it's awesome. But you could actually cut the Pilgrim. Maybe if you wanted to actually play the 2nd Downard or the Avermax, you could. But for me, I just want to keep the Pilgrim and then, of course, the DPE, because playing the DPE package. But yeah, that's basically it for the main and the extra deck, guys. Let me know what you think of this build, guys. I do think this build's actually not bad. And I will show you guys I guess I could do it right now, honestly. So basically, I just want to explain to you guys how you can use the Break Sword, really well. If you open up Rhino with a random name that isn't Seal or Graph, and then you have, basically you need 2 names that aren't Seal or Graph. I mean, you can still do, if you open up Seal or Graph, there is still things you can do. It just works better when you don't open Seal or Graph. So let's say you open up a hand like this, right? Or these 3 and then 2 other cards. And let's say you draw, maybe you'll have, maybe you had an Imperm or something, or, because, this is a hand trap build, so, let's say you had, 1 go on 2nd card, and then maybe, a Prosperity or something like that, but, I basically just need Rhino with 2 other BA names that aren't Seer or Graph. You can still do a variation of this if you do open up Seer or Graph. It's just a little bit less powerful. But what you would do is, you would normal summon your Rhino and then special summon your other BA, right? So we have here. If your opponent doesn't do anything to the Rhino Warrior, if they don't know or anything of the sort, then what you can do is, now you overlay into your Break Sword, right? Now you have options depending on what is in your hand. Right now we don't have Seer Graph, so what you can do is, now you're basically, even if your opponent does something on summon, you're gonna get your Rhino effect. Like if you do if they do anything on summon to get rid of the break sword, like banish it or pop it, whatever. But let's say they don't, right? Let's say they wait for you to use the effect. So you use the effect, and his effect is detach and target for cost. So you detach. I mean, you want to detach the Libic because if they don't destroy the break sword, if they just negate it, then you won't get the benefit from the Rhino Warrior. So you want to detach the BA for cost and target for cost. Now, if your opponent negates and destroys the break sword, then you will get your Rhino effect. Rhino will dump Graph, and then Graph will special out Seer. So you baited one interruption right there, right? And now you can special summon the other name that you had in hand. And now you can still go into Dante. And now you're at a threat, like you're basically you're threatening your opponent now. They have to do something else. Because now you can detach, you mill 3, it doesn't matter really what you mill, but you mill 3, now Dante's at 25, and now you can go into battle, attack, and, if you run over something, great. If not, I mean, hopefully there was something in defense mode. And then you can, go into Zeus, and now you board wipe, and you get Seer Dante, and you still get to, I mean, yeah, your Zeus won't have any materials, but you still get to end on Beatrice. Because, you Seer Dante, and then you discard Dante, summon out Beatrice. And now you basically broke your opponent's board. You force an interruption with the break sword, and you then if that was the only interruption, then you can break the board and you still end on Beatrice. Now let's say that your opponent okay, it was like this, we had this like this. Let's say your opponent negated the break sword, but they didn't actually destroy it. So you detach for cost, target gets negated, right? Now what you can do is you can go into battle, and now you're threatening to be able to still go into Zeus. So you attack something, if they use a second interruption, now you like let's say they do and during battle, maybe like they smash yours or something, right? So you already baited one interruption, and now the second one, okay, they get rid of the break sword, still in battle. Rhino Warrior gets sent to the graveyard. Rhino Warrior will trigger sending Graph, and then Graph will still special out Seer. If there's another body that's less than 1600, then you can have Seer run over it. If not, then you go into main phase 2. You didn't get to attack, which kind of sucks, but you can still special the other BA you had in hand, and you can still go into Dante, or you can go into Cherubini or anything like that. If you wanted to, like if you were playing the gravity controller, then you can summon the Dante in the extra monster zone, and then you could still go into gravity controller, see your Dante, and then you can still go into Beatrice. So, and you basically forced 2 interruptions there. Like your opponent had to negate the break sword and then get rid of it so that you couldn't go into Zeus. And then you could still end on, but that is only if you're playing the gravity controller. If not, then you would. It's a little bit worse, of course, but you would just sit on Dante main phase 2. But that's still not that bad since you force 2 interruptions. Dante will be able to, you have Seer Dante already set up for your opponent's turn, and if you have a hand trap or 2 in hand, or another going second card, then you can set that, or you can keep it in your hand and help protect your board from getting OTK'd. And on your opponent's turn, Dante will, like I said, Seer Dante will basically get the Dante back on board. Seer will go to your hand, and Scon will search for follow-up at the end of your opponent's turn. So basically, that's why I decided to keep the Rhino Warrior in the deck, since it provides a lot of utility going second with the break sword. If you open up the Rhino with, like, let's say you open up Graph, right? And another... Oh, wait, no. Let's say you open up, like, Graph... Oh, no, Seer, and, like, here we got this. the Libic. You can still do an iteration of that. It's just a little bit weaker, but you can do, you know, normal, special. Again, go ahead and break sword. And here, of course, you can again detach for cost. If they negate and destroy, then you know you get your Rhino effect, Rhino dump graph. And in this case, you'd probably bring out Scarm since you already have Seer in hand. So you'd special out the Seer. Now you can go into Dante. Now you can threaten to go into Zeus, or your opponent can, you know, get rid of it. It doesn't really matter. Basically, but it still forces an interruption. It is just a little bit weaker because even if you go into Zeus, you can't you won't be able to set up Beatrice since Seer was special summoned, so you won't be able to bring the Dante back, which kind of sucks. But in that case, what you would probably do is, if you could, then you would not detach anything, attack, and you would go into a 4 material Zeus if your opponent had like a defense monster or something weaker than 1000. Go into a 4 material Zeus, and then you know you have 2 interruptions in that case. So just depends on the scenario that you're in. But yeah, that's another option. Like I said, it's a little weaker, but it still works. Now, if you open up Graph, then what you could do is, it works the same way. If let's say you don't open up Rhino, but you open up basically 3 names like that, it works better since they can't negate the graph. Like it doesn't do anything. So you know, your normal graph, special out. You know, you can go into break sword. Again, break sword effect, detach for cost. If they negate and destroy, then you get your graph, bring out Seer, and then you can special out the Scarm and do the same play. Or if they just negate it, then you can threaten Zeus, attack, go into battle phase, attack, and then if they get rid of it, then in battle you can bring out Seer, maybe beat over something else, and then bring out Scarm, and like it's the same thing. It's basically the same thing if you open up the graph or the Rhino Warrior. So that's why I do think that the Rhino helps a lot, because it's basically another name of graph, and it helps you with this break sword play to force. You can force. If your opponent plays it bad, then you can force like 3 interruptions maybe, but most of the time it'll probably only force 1 or 2 interruptions if your opponent is smarter about it. Yeah, you have to give up your battle phase, but I do think it's worth it if you can still set up Dante Seer and you can break like 2 interruptions like that. Then I do think it's fine. I don't think it's I think it is worth it, especially if you open up other go on second cards. Like other things you can do as well, of course, with having Droplet. Let's say your opponent does know about the Rhino, you can normal Rhino, special out the Libic, and let's say they do try to like maybe Dragostapelia, negate your Rhino so that way your Libic will get popped. If you have Droplet, you can chain Droplet to the Dragostapelia, send the Rhino Warrior, negate the Dragostapelia. If you wanted to negate something else, you get rid of something else in your hand, and now Rhino will trigger sending Graph, and then Graph will bring out Seer from the deck. So now you already forced an interruption, and now you still have Seer and the other BA. And now you can go into either Break Sword or Dante, and basically threaten Zeus and wipe the board. So I just thought I'd show you guys that. I know this went on a little longer than I expected, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to show you guys this instead of making an entire video about it. I probably will do like a test hand though, so just to show you guys how consistent the deck is. Yeah, quickly guys, I did forget to mention that if your opponent does let the break sword go through, then you get to pop one of your opponent's cards, and then the Rhino will get to trigger, and then you get to bring out Seer, and you still have the other name in hand, so you got rid of one of your opponent's cards, and now you can go into like Dante or something, and threaten with Zeus. Like let's say maybe they had Smasher set and that was like their only set, and if they have no other interruptions, then that's pretty good. Or let's say that maybe you forced out the Smashers or something. They chained it when you popped it. They chained it, then you still get your Rhino, and then you summon out Graph. If it was the hand where I had the Libic and the Scarm in hand with the Rhino Warrior, you can summon out Seer, bring out the Scarm in hand, and then go to Dante. And then if you open up like, because that was only 3 cards in hand. So if you're going second, you have 3 other cards. If you have the Fusion Destiny, you got rid of their Smashers, or you got rid of like their Interruption, or even in main phase 2, like if you force 2 interruptions with the Break Sword, if you had to use your battle phase, that's fine. If you still have the Fusion Destiny, then you can bring out the Fusion Destiny, pop something else, and then you have follow up, like you have the Fusion Destiny to keep, or the DPE to keep coming back. So I do think that this deck definitely has better ways to go second to force more interruptions. So that's why I wanted to build it, and I forgot to mention that in the video, but yeah, guys, back to the video. But yeah, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that little demonstration of how you can use some of these cards to go second with the Break Sword. And of course, there's obviously other plays you can do with, like, if you could also go into like the DD Darius if you, that's an option. Or of course, if you don't need these 2, then you could just go into Dante, since Dante provides the most follow-up. But yeah, guys, that's basically it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you did, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.